your news and information leader. 970 WFLA, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater.
This is the NBC Radio Network.
For the Battle of the Talk Show Hosts.
From the Tobacco Company restaurant in Tampa, it's the Battle of the Talk Show Hosts on 970 WFLA, the Talk of Tampa Bay.
Hi, this is Steve Otto. And you can hear, we are live at the Tobacco Company restaurant. If you've been listening to those presidential debates, if you've been listening to the State of the Union, stand by. If you've been listening to those presidential debates out there, if you've been listening to the State of the Union, forget it. Tonight, actually, it's a little more like verbalizing WrestleMania tonight. In the audience, you're going to have to listen very closely. I'm in a snake pit tonight. Thank you. All right, this is as loud as it gets. All right, here we go. This is at the Battle of the Big Mouth Talk Host Shows. That's why. That's why I'm in print and these guys are on the air. All right, I'm going to introduce them. Storm and Dick Norman. Mr. Charm, Mad Dog, and last and certainly least, don't call me back, Webb. All right. If you're out there home listening on the radio, we're not going to take your calls. We're going to be taking them tonight from this pit. If you've never seen 500 talk show fans all gathered at once, it's kind of like having a free ticket to Busch Gardens. So listen in, and we're going to get started right away. I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I have a couple of questions to kick it off. Then we're going to get back to you. The Bible comes at 10 o'clock right now. All right. All right, who is the better leader, Ronald Reagan or Mikhail Gorbachev? How's that for a nice, easy opener?
Clearly, Mikhail Gorbachev. Who is the better leader, Ronald Reagan or Mikhail Gorbachev?
25 words or less.
Well, obviously, for this country, Ronald Reagan is the far superior leader. But we have a situation where... 1, 2. We have a situation where, for the first time, the Soviet Union has a leader that is of some interest in the West. A man who understands the media, a man who has some charm, and it scares the hell out of a lot of Americans.
Actually, I don't think we have to worry about Ronald Reagan or Mikhail Gorbachev if they can't hear us here pretty soon. Can you hear for those of you? Well, tough cookies. You already got that? Well, you all just sit in and listen for a minute. Teddy? I think they're about to come over the edge here.
I'd have to say Ronald Reagan is the better leader, though I'd say that Mikhail
say yet?
My earphone feed isn't going off either, so I can't hear a word you're saying. Mikhail Gorbachev doesn't have to be a leader. For crying out loud, the son of a gun has got the army of the Republic at his back. What leader? What question? Give me a break.
Well, is it going to... let me ask you about the Soviet Union. Does it scare you anymore?
The Soviet Union scare me? No, the Soviet government does. The Soviet Union does.
The Soviet government scares you? Why?
The Soviet government...
Well, what the hell do you have to fear of the Soviet government?
Because I quite think they don't want to take what I have.
Why?
I want to give it to them.
You're terrified of the Soviet Union. That's what you would have me believe?
I'm not terrified of them. Why would I?
Are you afraid of them?
They want to take what I have, and I don't want to give it to them.
They want to take what you have. What the hell do they want with Bloomingdale?
I tend to agree.
Increase their standard of living at my expense, which they're not alone in that.
They want to increase the standard of living at your expense.
At my expense.
I tend to agree with Dickie. I just don't trust them. I don't think that they've been trustworthy in the past, and I don't think that Gorbachev is any different than any other Soviet leader, with the exception that he's got a tremendous amount of charisma. People in this country like him because his wife doesn't look like the typical Russian woman with a babushka.
People in this country like him because his wife is cute? Is that what you would have me believe?
That is why.
Could it possibly be because they don't fear Mikhail Gorbachev blowing up the world? Could it possibly be because he's a man of some intellect and some culture?
No chance.
No chance.
No chance.
The American people are too dumb to know that he's smart and cultured.
This country bought Nixon because of appearance. This country bought Reagan because of packaging.
They bought Nixon because of appearance.
That's what they did. They doctored him up in 1968 to make him palatable. And that's why people in this country are buying Mikhail Gorbachev.
Richard Nixon was a cute guy.
He was.
And Pat, I was a teenager when Pat Nixon was first living. I used to lay at home at night in bed and have strange dreams.
Who do you want in the Super Bowl? Oh, we're going to have a good time tonight. I can see this. Now I know why I stayed in print journalism. There's no security. No security. How about those guys coming over behind you? Guys in the dark suit. Well, let me ask you about the...
For the benefit of the good folks at home, the people here in the restaurant can't hear a word that we're saying.
But we can hear everything they're saying, and they're starting to come over the rafters here. Press on here. You want to press on? Let's go to the audience. You want to go to the audience? Sure. All right, we're going to go to the audience. And I'm going to ask a question. I'll have to ask a question, then I'm just going to yell it out. All right, hang in there, guys. Anybody right here got a question? Got a question? We're going to try to make this work until it comes on. Anybody have a question? Obviously, we're having some technical problems here. Let's go back to what we're talking about.
Well, wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Coming up on
you guys, we have our first question.
Our first question. Hot damn.
Control yourselves. Fire away. Bob?
Yeah?
I listen to you every day, and I agree with about 85% of what you say. But the biggest 1% that I don't agree with is the fact that you say you're a Republican.
I am. I'm a lowliker Republican. I probably have my voter registration
why they ought to be Republicans?
Wait a second here.
Okay.
I want to prove this to you.
For those of you who don't have visual at home,
going into my wallet
Charming
right
Bob
now.
Lassiter is reaching into his wallet here. He's using his left and now his right. And here we have, I'm not going to put this into your hands here. Here we have a Broward County voter registration for one Robert H. Lassiter, Fort Lauderdale. Sex, they have a question mark. Race, another one. Birth date will pass. So he is a Republican. Ask him what he is a Republican. Hey, Steve. Ask him what the H stands. Well, it's radio and television. We're also going to our Armed Forces Network overseas.
So the reason I'm a Republican.
How much did you pay to get in here? Nobody can hear you. Count your blessings.
No, there's a reason why I'm a Republican. Because
why are you a Republican there, Bob?
Because of the fact I don't agree with everything, nor have I always agreed with everything that the Democratic Party does. I believe in working within the system. When I first became of voting age, I grew up in the Northeast where Republicans are a lot different, and at a time ago. Obviously, that has changed in time. And I became a member of the Republican Party because there were many men. Edward Dirksen was still alive back then. Lowell Weicker in Connecticut.
Why are you still a member now?
Why am I still a member now?
Step back a little bit. Come on.
Because they need good people. They don't have very many these days.
Stand by. We're coming up.
It's 17 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. Let's go back to the studio for a commercial break. We shall return here live at the Battle of the Talk Show hosts.
Thank you. Well, we're back. More or less live. As you can tell, we're operating on the fine equipment of WFLA Radio.
Hey, what's the matter, Doug?
Steve Otto, more or less live. The Tobacco Company with 99.7 WFLA's talk show host, Dick Norman, Bob Lassiter, and Tim Webb. I got two microphones in my mouth and a tongue that's working both ways, so we're going to try to make our way around here a little bit. I have to carry a microphone to the crowd and then back to the talk show host, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So bear with me. In fact, I can't even see my spotter who's off at the bar somewhere. Oh! Okay. All right, here we go. When we last left you and you weren't listening, I was talking. We were, and we'll finish up with the president because we don't care. We got one more question.
Go on, finish up with the president. He's finished anyway.
All right. This year, stand by. This year we will usher in a new president. Mr. Reagan is devoting significant amounts of time extolling his own virtues. Does he have any room to talk? Are you any better off today than you were 7 years ago? Is your neighborhood any safer? I'm no safer right here. Will you be able to retire and still eat on a regular basis? All right, we'll start right on the right over here. Very right, far right, Storm and Dick Norman.
All right, the answer to the question is, are you better off than you were 7 years ago? Are you better off than you were 8 years ago? To be closer to the truth. If you're better off than you were 7 years ago, not much. 8 years ago, yeah, you probably are. Is Ronald Reagan responsible? Probably not a whole lot. Probably not a whole lot. I think I would have to go along with Bob to the extent that I would say that if you're going to say Ronald Reagan brought prosperity, then you're going to say that Jimmy Carter brought double-digit inflation, and neither one of those is probably correct. I suspect we are better off. I suspect a large number of us feel a little bit better about ourselves than we did. Some of us do not. If there had been a hurricane in Florida in the last 8 years, Ronald Reagan would have gotten blamed for that, probably justifiably. Therefore, there is no reason why he shouldn't try to take credit for a bit of prosperity, which came after a hell of a lot of severe unemployment and severe dislocation, which we in this state largely escaped. So, yeah, we're better off. Should Ronald Reagan take credit for it? Yeah, probably not. And if you don't really give him a lot of credit for it individually, you probably can't blame Jimmy Carter for much anyway, but then again, he didn't do much.
There's a commercial on the right. Now you get the commercial on the left, and then we'll let what's his face finish up.
Well, the truth of the matter is I'm sitting in the middle, not on the left. Okay, are you better off than you were 7 years ago? Well, I suppose some of you are, but what the hell you ought to be? I mean, come on, you know, you've worked 7 years, you have 7 years more experience on the job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we could sit here and talk about are there more homeless and all that kind of stuff, but the fact of the matter is this is a rich audience. You guys could care less about the homeless. So let's talk reality here. Are you better off than you were 7 years ago? Well, 7 years ago, your share of the annual federal deficit was about $200. Today, it's a lot closer to $800 per year for each and every one of you. As a matter of fact, for every man, woman, and child living in this country. During the last 7 years, the federal government has pumped approximately $2 trillion in paper money into the economy. Corporate America has pumped approximately $2 trillion into the economy, and you guys yourselves with your MasterCards and your Visas and your JCPenney and the Sears, the whole bit, have also pumped approximately $2 trillion into the economy. Now, if people can't be prosperous on $6 trillion worth of borrowed money, then I don't know what the hell is the matter with them. Unfortunately, at some point in the game, you're going to be asked to pay it back. Sears wants the money, MasterCard wants the money, Japan wants the money, and when that day comes, you'll curse Ronald Reagan.
find middle ground. And essentially, the middle ground is simple.
Well, as far as being better off, I am not as well off as I was 4 days ago. I can only tell you about the next 26 days. No, but I think overall, we're living a little bit better than we were before. I think
anybody have a copy of R&R here?
A little easier to get loans, a little easier to get money. I think that overall we are better off than we were back in 1980. As far as where we're going in the next year or so, I don't think we're going to be that well off, and I think in part we have to thank Ronnie Reagan for that. Bob made a point as far as all the credit. We're going to have to pay for it sooner or later. I know my American Express card came in the other day, Robert. I can relate to that wholeheartedly. $1,500. How the hell I'm going to pay for it?
I'll give it to Handy. Give it 30 days.
You Republicans don't give a damn about nothing. But I think we are better off than we were 6 years ago.
There you go. Wake up!
See, there we go.
All right, well, we've still got another 30, 40 seconds to kill. Who's the best Democratic candidate?
Who's the best Democratic candidate? Incredibly stupid
George
question.
Bush!
I better start over here with the chart.
Who is the best Democratic candidate? Well, actually, the best Democratic candidate in terms of ideas insofar as Lassiter is concerned would be a man named Jesse Jackson, but he's hopelessly unelectable. He's talking to you, but unfortunately the man is completely unelectable, so it doesn't make a damn bit of difference what he says. Gary Hart probably second after that, but you want to talk about unelectable, so it's a waste of time. As for the rest of them, probably after that would come Paul Simon, but again, talk about unelectable, you guys are not going to vote for a guy who wears a bow tie and funny glasses and combs his hair straight back, or however he's combing it these days. The best Democratic candidate is probably someone who isn't running yet.
With you, Bob. I'd say Simon is the best Democratic candidate with ideas at the present time. But you're right, a man with a bow tie is not electable. That's unfortunate. I suspect that if the conventions were held tomorrow, the next president of the United States would be chosen at the Republican convention. They could probably run anybody they chose. They could throw a beer bottle out into this crowd, and whoever it hit would be elected on the Republican ticket. It is high time that the Democratic ticket came up with some backing, and that some of the movers and shakers in the Democratic Party started supporting some people who do think, and Simon is one of them. There would be a hell of a nice race here with some real issues to talk about if you had a race between, say, Bob Dole and Simon. Now, those are candidates who have some clear differentiation among them, who have some intellect, who have something to say. Unfortunately, as has often been the case in the last 3 generations, the Democratic Party is well on its way to self-destructing. We're running boobs and mental cases, and I hear that the biggest mental case in the world is about to re-enter the race. From 1972, the guy was going to give us all $5,000 out of the federal treasury. George McGovern, hooray! The man's going to come in with a straitjacket and a bunch of lithium.
Wait, one second here.
No, you had your shot. We're asking for one shot. We got about 45 seconds.
I won't take as much as that. I think
That's good in a 2-minute drill.
The two best Democratic candidates are not running right now. At least they're unannounced, and they are Mario Cuomo, governor of New York, and Senator Bill Bradley. I think those are the two guys that I could vote for. There's nobody else in the Democratic ticket right now that I see as being electable. And I agree with Dick that if the conventions were held today and the election were held tomorrow, that it would be a Republican in the White House.
We're going to come back in a while and talk about who might be the most electable candidate. If there's one out there. And then we'll ask Foreman Dick Norman about who might be the most electable Republican candidate if there's 6 left. And then we're going to go out to the audience. Believe it or not, we'll find out what's going on out there. Does anybody out there care if there's any electable Republican candidate? Anybody care about the presidential race at all? Did anybody watch the State of the Union address last night? Did anybody watch out there. Well, think about it. We'll get back to you in about a couple minutes. I don't know how many commercials are sold for this thing. And in the meantime, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to the Battle of the Talk Show Hosts. Live from the Tobacco Company Restaurant on 970 WFLA. The Talk from Tampa Bay.
WFLA Morning News Watch. Tobacco Company Restaurant in Tampa, it's the Battle of the Talk Show Hosts on 970 WFLA, the Talk of Tampa Bay.
All right, it's officially after the hour on WFLA, the Talk of Tampa Bay. I'm Steve Otto, live at the Tobacco Company Restaurant with 970 WFLA's Battle of the Talk Show Hosts, Dick Norman, Mad Dog, Bob Lassiter, and Ted Webb. You guys don't want to talk about the presidential race anymore. I can tell that. No, we're headed out into the crowd. We're going out into the crowd, see what they want to talk about. I'm following my Vanna White person here. Stand by. Here we go. We have a question. We have a comment. We have a proposal.
Hi,
Who are you?
I'm Mary from Tampa. Except for Steve Otto, I don't want to see these guys. I cannot stand these guys. I want to know if Lionel, Jacob, or Valrico Bob is here tonight.
Hi. Well, I've never been so insulted in my entire life. Well, I think once in 1954.
All right, where are you? Rocky here?
Is there anybody here in a hood?
Somewhere. Where? Where?
Decency lady. Is decency... Wait a second. Is decency lady here tonight?
Stand by. I'll get back.
Is decency lady really here tonight?
Is the decency lady here?
Is she?
There are no decent ladies here tonight.
Well, there really is a decency lady.
All right. Is there... Is there any of the cast of characters, the cast of 7 that listens to this crowd all day long? Are you out there? Who are you?
Got him back out there.
Come on down. While they're coming down, I'm going to find somebody who has a real comment or question out here. I found mine. All right. Who are you?
Lisa from Brooksville. An out-of-towner.
All right, an out-of-towner, yeah.
Okay, if we can talk about the Democratic candidates.
Would you... We can do it if you'll tell me if you had any pasties while you were in Brooksville.
Any what?
Pasties. Pasties. Right there on US 98, just down the street. Pasties.
Pasties.
No. Pasties is what they were when they do that. Pasties.
Not in Brooksville.
I guess I haven't lived.
All right.
Okay.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Okay, if we can talk about an ideal Democratic candidate.
Briefly.
Yes, okay, suspend credulity. Just a little bit, because he hasn't declared. He says he doesn't want it, but...
Michael Jackson, right?
No. How about the Speaker of the House? Jim Wright. What do you think of Jim Wright?
Jim Wright, what do I think? What do these people think? We'll start right up here at this end. What do you think of Jim Wright? Jim Wright.
Well, I think you have to really suspend your credulity a lot in order to imagine Jim Wright being elected president. I think that's like saying Richard Nixon is going to run again, and he's going to get more votes than he did the last time when he made George McGovern go back to Dakota. I mean, give me a break here. The Speaker of the House is not a legitimate candidate for President of the United States. Jim Wright is not the... I'll tell you what, the previous Speaker of the House was a pretty good candidate and probably electable, but not the current Speaker of the House.
You think he's a bit too extreme or just a bit too tough? What is it that you don't like?
You haven't really been specific. You haven't been too specific with me. What is your objection?
My objection is the man's as unelectable as Gary Hart.
Oh, he's unelectable.
He's unelectable. What good does it do you to have all the purity of party politics in the world if you can't get into the office? It doesn't do you any good. It's like all the purity of wanting to be the most beautiful, public service-oriented company in the world, and if you go bankrupt, nobody gives a damn. The first duty of any company is to be successful. The first duty of any politician is to get elected, and if you can't get elected, it ain't worth a damn.
All right, and what do you think, Kermit?
All right, Jim Wright may be one of the most intelligent people in the world. He may have all of the qualifications, but he lacks one. We live in the television age. Jim Wright has a horrible voice. And because of that, and this is a tragedy, this is a very serious problem that we have in this nation. Because of that one problem, Jim Wright would never get elected. He whines. Even when I'm, like last night, watching the response to the State of the Union address, I cringe when Jim Wright comes out because people want a deep voice. People want someone who is a great orator, and Jim Wright just doesn't fill the bill, and that is a tragedy. It is a terrible tragedy.
For 4 years plus, and Lyndon Johnson was no better. In fact, I think this one's far superior.
You're right, but Lyndon Johnson was over 20 years ago. Things have changed in 20 years. 20 years ago, television was still a novelty in this country.
All right, Sid, what do you think?
I think Lassiter was trying to list his qualifications for president.
What the hell? A day's worth of gig I got now.
I know that's true, Bob. I wrote your contract.
But Lisa, you will see God in the White House before you see Jim Wright up there.
We told you what we thought.
We can't have him.
Sit down, dear.
Far superior.
All right, we don't. Enough of Jim Wright.
You're right about that.
Hang on. Listen, you're gonna have to lean over here. We got a real great situation here, folks.
That's Maynard Ferguson.
Don't jump, sir.
My name's Pepper. I'm from Brandon.
Hey, all right.
We got two choices here, and they're both the same. We talk about sex or politics, and we might as well talk about sex because we're getting the other one from the politics.
All right.
That means we go right to Ted Webb.
Let's hear it for the root. Let's hear it for the root.
Yeah, Dick will tell you what the root means after the show tonight. What was the question, though? I mean, are you Maynard Ferguson? You look like Maynard Ferguson, the jazz trumpeter. There is no question here. If you ask me what I feel about sex, are you going home alone tonight?
Am I going home alone? No, I got married.
Question?
I came with her.
Hey, I want to know if you guys have ever committed adultery. I mean, that's the question of the night.
You all want to hear this?
Well, if we're going to talk about politics and sex at the same time, we have to ask the most important thing that must be asked of Jim Wright as well, and all the people up here. Have you ever committed adultery, by God? I mean, get right to it. You want me to answer first? I know you do. You want me to answer first? You want me to give a real political answer? I can do better than Gary Hart. I'll give a real political answer. Not in this marriage.
Well, I would say the same. In the last one, yes. But I mean, what the hell? I haven't been married a full year yet. Give me a chance, you know?
Bobby, how many in the last one? I mean, how many in the last one, Bob? How many?
Well, you tell how many, and I'll tell how many.
Wait a minute. Let me get my shoe off. Hold on, please. Let's talk about positions instead. Okay? I mean, let's talk about the quantity doesn't matter. It's the quality and the variety that counts, right? I mean, ask Webb.
Well, I see that you didn't answer, so I won't either.
Where are you? For those of you not watching this on television, stand up.
She's around here somewhere.
We're not going to ask her the question. The A question.
Oh, she's here.
adultery. Anybody have any questions?
Whoa, wait a second. Otto, wait a second. You haven't answered the adultery question.
What?
You haven't answered the adultery question. Yeah, right.
What question? You gotta come here.
If you're dressed like a condom, come on now.
Answer here, all right. Hi.
Hi. I'm here only about 3 weeks, and I've listened to all of you. And Ted.
That's enough, isn't it?
No, come to New Orleans. We really need somebody like you.
Sam, don't let him. We got questions. I found the question table here.
Steve Otto.
Say that real loud.
Are you Steve Otto?
Yes.
Congratulations on you.
My new son. How much time we got left before the break? Oh, we're breaking. Oh, hold it. All right, we have a question here. May I hold it? Okay, gentlemen. Central America, Nicaragua. Think about this. Daniel Ortega came in there, completely just stormed the area, took over, quote-unquote, communist rule, and, threw the country into a flame. Now, I hate the guy personally, all right? Back off. But now he's got all his aid from Russia, okay? Now he's in a position where he can restabilize the country. Now, is he going to go along and make concessions just as America is saying, you need to do this, and as he goes along, he's in a position to say, yeah, sure, okay, I'll do that. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll do that too. Now that time has passed and things have stabilized. Now, is he going to make a mockery of the United States by, okay, well, we return free press? We even have a quick answer.
How quick do you want? All right, quite simply, Mr. Ortega has already done a fine job of making a mockery of the United States, and I'm sure that he will continue to do so. I think the Conference have done a pretty good job of that, too, and as I said this evening on Webb Show, the thing most people don't realize when they're taking sides in this debate is that Daniel Ortega and the Sandinistas and the Conference are essentially the same people. We're talking about a banana republic here. It always has been, it always will be. Who rules it is unimportant. What we can get out of it by whatever means necessary is what really counts.
All right. Whoa. No, I can't pass this up, Steve. Okay, you are a man who is clearly very concerned about people who don't have freedom of the press. You're a man who is obviously very, very concerned about people who can't own their own homes. You're a man who is obviously very concerned about people who don't have the right to form labor unions. You're a man who is obviously very concerned about people who are under the domination, the horrible domination of the Kremlin. So I ask you tonight, sir, to ignore the 3 million fiddling people in Nicaragua and come with me and go to the source of all of this, Russia, because those people have a far worse life than the people in Nicaragua. And, sir, the truth of the matter is you don't give a damn about the people in Nicaragua. You don't give a damn about the people in Russia. You've got a macho problem.
We'll be back in a few minutes to talk about an adultery banana republic. You are listening to the Battle of the Talk Show host, live from the Tobacco Company restaurant on WFLA 970, the Talk of Tampa Bay.
Have you committed adultery in your heart?
A little big mouth between Storm and Dick Norman, Mad Dog Bob Lassiter, and lame duck Ted Webb, and we're right here in the middle of the audience somewhere, and it's fun. And I've got some guy direct from the North Pole.
Hello. I've got a question for the panel. This is the Mad Hacker, and I want to ask the panel whether or not, after 90 days, what their opinion is of the October 19th stock market crash and how it will affect the economy in the coming year, and if we are looking at a depression in '88.
Okay, depression mind.
No, all we the economists that I know of, and they're all weird people who don't get enough sex, they all say that it's going to be a minor recession at best, and I suspect that the state of Florida is going to be largely immune. No, I don't think so. How does it affect me? It doesn't mean a damn thing to me. I got no money. I don't own any stock. This company is not publicly held. I couldn't buy any anyway. So it isn't going to do a damn thing to me. The only thing it may do is dry up the capital formation in such a way that there is less chance of new companies being formed, less chance of new enterprise being formed. But if there's any money at all to do it, it's going to happen in the state of Florida. So I think we're largely immune. And let's hear it from the people back here in the cheap seats.
Yeah, people in the cheap seats. Not a terribly easy question to answer, a very complex question, but to make it as simple as I possibly can, how will the stock market affect the economy? The stock market crash on October 19th affect the economy? It can be argued that X number of dollars were taken out, so forth and so on from the economy. We'll avoid that altogether. The effect that it has is that it has scared people out of the market. It has scared people out of making anything but the safest of safe investments. That will have a domino effect right on down the line. You will remember October 19th for the rest of your life. That much I promise you.
I agree with you in terms of speculation. A lot of people are petrified as far as putting their money on the line, but I'm one of those an eternal optimist. I don't think that we're going to see a recession. I don't think we're going to see a depression ever again. But if I had the bucks, I would definitely put it on the line right now. I think that 88 is going to be a pretty good year. 89, I'm not sure about, but 88 is going to be a pretty good year for the money now.
All right. Oh, yeah. You guys don't have any money. I have a different kind of a question for you right here. Where are you from? Who are you?
I'm Deborah. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm visiting, and I'm just wondering.
You're responsible for all this, Deborah.
Here's one of them who's responsible. Everybody get here! All right. What's the question?
I'm just wondering, why is it you can carry a gun here in Florida, but you can't lie naked on the beach?
It's an old Army expression. This is my rifle, this is my gun. This is for fighting, this is for fun.
Deborah, that's an excellent question, probably the most intelligent of the evening and the only one that really makes any difference in any of our lives. I wish I had an answer for you, probably because most of the people in Florida are too ugly to lay on the beach.
Present company accepted!
Where you're staying at, where you're here, give us a seat. Just let me know where you're staying at, where you're
And Deborah, I'd also like to point out you can come over to my house and sunbathe anytime you'd like. As long as Mary's not there.
All right. Okay, I hope, hang on. How you doing, Bob?
Great.
Question for Bob. Can you tell me what I got a picture of right here? And what that will do when I pull the cord?
Is that the $5 million CNC?
For those of you not seeing this live on television, we have a visual aid.
That would appear to be the $5 million CNC that we were talking about yesterday. Is that correct? Steve, hold the microphone up to that. Let's see if this is for real.
I'm glad to be with you gentlemen tonight.
This is high-class entertainment, people. We don't get no better.
They're your readers, too, you know, not just our listeners.
These people don't read. However, one of them did send in. Most of them don't listen either. Okay. I've got 1 minute, but fortunately... Good, because I want to save this one for a little later on. A quick question. Are you on the same diet as Bob?
No, you, Otto, you.
Me? Yeah. Oh, you've noticed. Yeah. I'm on the Nutrifast system.
He's on the 3 o'clock feeding.
All right.
The problem with Steve is that he thought he was going to nurse the baby.
Okay. I can see we've got the kind of questions we want right now. However, I think you want to sing a little song. We got 27 seconds to go, and I don't know how to wind these things up too well.
Oh, 27 seconds is nothing, man. You can do it. You can do it.
Stand by. Here we go. As we get ready to go off.
Sounds like a Jesse Jackson campaign.
We'll be back in just a minute. You're listening to the Battle of the Talk Show hosts live from the Tobacco Company restaurant on WFLA 970 The Talk of Tampa Bay.
Stand by for more of the Battle of the Talk Show host with Bob Lassiter, Ted Webb, and Dick Norman on 970 WFLA.
970 WFLA, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater. From the Tobacco Company restaurant in Tampa, it's the Battle of the Talk Show hosts on 970 WFLA, the Talk of Tampa Bay.
All right, it's 9:07 on WFLA, the Talk of Tampa Bay. I'm Steve Otto live at the Tobacco Company restaurant with WFLA's Battle of the Talk Show hosts. A battle of big mouths between Dick Norman, Mad Dog Bob Lassiter, and Ted Webb. All right, well, we left you last. This thing was really taking a turn down. But we're going on now because we got a letter here, a note sent in here from the crowd. I'm going to start right off with this one. This is not a reader of the Tribune. This is a listener. For sick Norman Bob Lassiter to reply, you have made the statement that Jane Fonda should be put before a firing squad. Why? Fred, I found Fred. Fred is over there. You want to tell him why old Jane should be...
Well, what I said was that there are many people, myself included, who feel that Jane Fonda at one point during the Vietnam War crossed over the boundary from freedom of speech to aiding and abetting the enemy. This assumes that you figure the United States was at war. Fact of the matter is, we weren't. We haven't been since World War II. Our record in war since World War II is pretty bad. We're 0-2 at the present time. I feel that she aided and abetted an enemy of the United States. There's no way it's ever going to happen, but that is my opinion. It is an opinion that's shared by a few other people, not by Mr. Lassiter, to whom I will pass the microphone.
Right. It's the people who want to shoot people for aiding and abetting with an enemy that they should have had the guts to declare a war, but they couldn't get it through. Simple as that. So Jane is nothing more than a U.S. citizen who went to Hanoi, period.
Oh, wait, before I get to Ted, I want to go back over here to Fred, because we're still trying to figure out what a shoot means. All right, Fred, you tell them what a shoot means and what you think about all this.
What? I didn't hear the question.
A shoe.
A shoe?
Yeah, bless you.
I don't know what a shoe is.
Oh, what about Jane Fonda? Well,
I asked that question on WFLA radio to our friend here, Mr. Sick Norman, and Sick's reply was to hang up. He couldn't handle it.
Nobody else on this radio station ever hangs up on anybody but me. I'm the worst.
Wait a minute. Let's see what Teddy has to say about this, too.
No, I have never bought a Jane Fonda workout tape, and having been...
Why did we know that?
It's not sexual. It's not sexual. I happen to have been in the service at the time that Jane had gone over to North Vietnam, and I wasn't too happy with what she did. I mean, it's one thing to express your opinion to the war. It's another thing to go over to the other side and sit out there and rap with them. And I just felt it was kind of cheap on her part.
Bring back Barbarella.
Wait a minute. I actually have some questions here that the WFLA's high-level question department came up with, and it just happens they got one here about the women's movement. Has the women's movement gone too far? Has it gone too far?
It's real dangerous to say the women's movement. It covers a multitude of sins. If we believe in equality of pay for equal work, hell yeah, I'm all in favor of it. If we believe in equality of pay for comparable work, what the hell does that mean? The big problem is if you don't say you're in favor of the women's movement, whatever the hell that means, then you're considered a male chauvinist pig. Well, I make my own coffee, and I'm not going to take that crap from anybody. I believe that anybody who does the same job should be paid equal. You want me to say something chauvinistic? I'm going to say it. Get ready. Here's the way it goes. I've been in the radio programming business for 24 years now, and I said on the radio the other day when somebody asked me, how come you don't have any more women talk show hosts on the air than you do? We have one, by the way. Liz Richards is on the weekends, and I hope you listen to her, and I like her. However, the reason is because men demonstrably do not like to listen to women on the radio as much as they do other men, and women truly hate to listen to women on the radio, and that's a provable fact.
I'm not really sure what that has to do with the women's movement going too far. I would tend to agree with you in terms of equal pay. Comparable pay is something that boggles my mind, even as a man. Has the women's movement gone too far? What kind of dumb question is this? Is this a question from a caller or somebody that we work with? And if it is somebody that we work with, we should identify that person and take the appropriate action.
It's a question from a federal attorney, Bob. That's what it's from.
A question from a federal attorney? In that case, yes, indeed it has.
No, I don't think the women's movement has gone far enough. I happen to be a big fan of the women, and I think that women have been getting the short end of the stick in more ways.
Not from you, Webb! Not from you!
Long time.
Speak for yourself, Webb.
No, not from me, but from America.
Give me the mic! Give me the mic! Give me the mic!
Along the same lines, I have a question from a woman in the audience.
Okay, who should carry the condom in prevention of AIDS, the man or the woman?
Considering going into the vending machine business in order to find gainful employment, I feel it doesn't matter a damn as long as the price is low enough.
Who should carry the condom, the woman or the man? Well, either, my dear, you're much less experienced than you appear to be, because obviously the men are too stupid to do so. I would suggest the women.
All I can do is speak from personal experience, and that is my woman has bought them for me.
I would hear one off.
Okay. Moving right along,
and we are going to be back on this. We're going to be back in just a minute on WFLA. Meanwhile, you're listening to the Battle of the Talk Show Hosts, live from the Tobacco Company Restaurant on 970 WFLA, the talk of Tampa Bay. WFLA's Battle of the Talk Show hosts, the battle, and a long-running battle of the big mouths between Storm and Dick Norman, Mad Dog Bob Lassiter, and don't call me Henry, Ted Webb. All right, here we go. Let's get right back to that. Right here. We're not going to let this one go. Who do you trust more, men or women? Who do you really trust when it gets down to it, men or women?
well, my tendency is to say women. Recently, that faith has been shaken. I think men.
Oh, my God. 2-3 more drinks and I'll explain what he said. Who do I trust more, men or women? My experience, and that's all I can talk about is my experience. Most of my good friends over the time that I've been alive have been women. Consequently, I tend to trust women more.
I'll tell you what. No, really, I'll tell tell you, this is the truth. No matter what any guy has ever done to me, there is no way I could ever do to a guy what a scorned woman could do. I would trust a guy. I mean, a woman upset. This is true. A woman upset will stop at nothing to settle the score. How about it?
All right, let's see what we got out here.
Why do you both, that is WFLA and PLOP, persist in calling themselves the talk of Tampa Bay? Who had it first? One of y'all either had it first. Differentiate yourself from the competition. Who is the talk of Tampa Bay?
Oh, that's great transition. Let me have it.
I will take that first because I was there at Flop. It was before I lined up. And before these people lined up, too, I might point out. To the best of my knowledge, because I remember complaining bitterly while I was there, this station by several weeks, WFIL,
Try to get the call letters right, Bob.
well, yeah, come on. Whatever it is, we had it first.
Now, the only answer I have to say there is that neither one of these stations, unfortunately, against my better judgment and against my recommendations, filed a service mark on this phrase. So the answer is, where are you and who got you there? That's the answer.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Wait a minute. I have the explanation. Number one, do you know what PLP stands for? Penelope's lousiest pattern. You can see their stick longer than you can, further away than you can hear it. We definitely are the talk of Tampa Bay.
There you go. More sex talk.
More sex talk.
Okay, I can see we're sliding into this. Let's see what else is going on out there. Hang on just a second.
Yeah, this is Fredo from Tampa. How can Sandy Freeman turn her head and say no sale of alcohol on city property, yet ignore the situation of Big Al's Package and Lounge selling liquor across the street from Greco Junior High? And would we have been better off with Helen Chavez as mayor?
Well, I'll tell you what, if Helen had been elected, the food would be a hell of a lot better anyway. I think that the problem is here we have a second-rate tennis player masquerading as a mayor. It is a joke. The problem here is that... Let me ask you a question. Come on. Hold it. Let me ask you a question. Who the hell thought up America's next great city? What the hell's wrong with it now? I mean, we're talking about a backseat kind of an administration, and I don't say that our present mayor is alone in that. The idea is you got to think big, you got to think positive, you got to improve your rating 64%. Has the city of Tampa done that? Hell no, and they never will as long as they think small and say, oh my God, if we sell a cup of beer on the street, we're all going to hell in a handbasket. That's a bunch of crap, man. The biggest cities in the United States of America, the classiest cities in the United States of America, have a mechanism by which they can bring people out on the streets of the city for enjoyable festivities of a variety of kinds. They can sell liquor, they can sell wine, they can sell beer, and they can do it in a nice fashion. And they do it in places that aren't anywhere near as nice as the city of Tampa. It's a question of a lack of class and a lack of positive thinking. This is not America's next great city. This is great city now, for God's sake.
I think before we can call ourselves a great city, and I think the difference with you, that we have a long way to go. We do. No. I disagree with you. We have a long way to go. But as far as how long?
If it's wet, I'll drink it. Give it to me.
You need a new mayor. Number one. You need a new mayor. America's next great city. We do have a long way to go. And I think one of the prerequisites to that would definitely be a new mayor. I'm not one of Sandy's biggest fans. I tell you what, I'm not for anybody that castrates the police department or somebody that would want to do. I don't know. I'm not a big Sandy Freeman fan, and I think
that we do have a long way to go. But I tell you what, we're pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
All right. Does anybody know what happened to America's last great city? Where was that? Was that Houston? Phoenix? Oh, stand by. The food would be better.
I'm Brandon, but I want to know.
Hey, Brandon!
All right, Brandon.
You forgot what you were going to say about it, but talk real loud now, Pearl.
I wanted Ted Webb to read what Pepper wrote to him.
What? Ted, you got to read what Pepper wrote to you. Can you do that?
Yeah, it says, Dear Ted, I couldn't get into your show on casting Lassiter in a movie, but since I've seen him, he definitely should be cast as Cujo.
He hasn't got the teeth for it.
Cujo. Sounds like kudzu. They're getting hostile right now. Hang on just a second.
Hi, this is Russ from Tampa. What the hell is a brain-damaged snowbird?
Sir, would you please stand up so we can all see? Anybody that has to ask the question is a brain-damaged snowbird.
I don't even know what we're talking about. All right, we got some that have been handed in here. Hang on just a second. All right, stand by. Here's the real question. What do you think the American public has a right to know about a candidate? Boring. Next question. Wait. All right, this is the real. Somebody out here wanted to know that. Somebody really wanted to know that.
It was probably the brain-damaged snowbird.
It was the snowbird wanted to know that. All right, here we go. I like you.
Hi. Hey, Bob.
Haven't I seen you before?
Yes, you have. Bob, I want to know about your obsession with cats. Meow.
My obsession with cats? I have no obsession with cats. I have an obsession with a basset hound that is probably from up north. That must be.
Next.
Obsession with cats? I don't understand. Oh, Ted.
Hey, Robert. We got a cat. We got a cat? We got a cat.
He's lying.
Don't listen to him.
I think we've heard enough of that. Enough of the cat. What are you thinking about over there with 6 drinks on the table?
Yeah, I want to know just what right this audience has to know if it's rumor or fact that these 3 guys are leaving WFLA. Ted Webb is fired, Dick Norman is fired, and the gentleman in the middle may be going to New York. So talk about talk of Tampa Bay. We're not going to have any talk of Tampa Bay. There's not going to be anybody to listen to.
Let me address that. Okay, let me address that. Concerning my going to New York, I can't speak for the other 2 guys. First of all, I am under contract to WFLA and then for another 2.5 years. In my business, it is very common to get offers. My phone rings at least once a month. I will not stand here and tell you it is inconceivable that they might make an offer that I would have literally no choice in accepting. But I can tell you that all I've ever wanted was to be invited, and I've been invited. And that's good enough for me. I'm very happy where I am. The people in this community gave me a real rough time for the first year, but the last 1.5 years have been fantastic. And I love it!
All I can tell you is that in 24.5 years of radio, I've never quite worked with a guy like the Mad Dog. And if this station is crazy enough to let the Mad Dog get away to New York City, they're sick.
contract whatsoever. I am the only guy who serves at the pleasure of the management. And that management's pleasure can be fickle indeed. And I could, in fact, be out of work in about another 38 minutes. 25 years will have gone by in June, and the chances of me being here to see that are virtually nil. It has been an interesting year. You win.
All right, and on that happy note, I think it's about time to wrap it up here on WFLA 970. We'll be back in a minute. Meanwhile, you are listening to the Battle of the Talk Show Hosts, live from the Tobacco Company Restaurant on 970 WFLA, the Talk of Tampa Bay. And this is the Talk of Tampa Bay on WFLA. I'm more or less live, caught up in the middle of the Busch Garden Zoo here at the Tobacco Company Restaurant. And I'm still in the audience, and we have some questions. You guys up there awake? All right, here we go.
I have a question for Bob. Bob, a while ago, McHenry was referring to you as Uncle Bob. And I'd like to know the story behind that, and I'd like to real briefly follow up on that after your reply.
Sure, okay. Okay, well, obviously, I have a reputation as being a mean, nasty guy, right, that doesn't like anybody. One Saturday about 2 or 3 months ago, I came into the station, and Teddy had his little girl there. And so Gary McHenry was kind of watching her as Teddy was doing his show. And so they brought the little girl back to the talk studio. And there I was drawing pictures with her and sitting, having her sit on my knee and so forth and so on. And, you know, give me a break. Give me a break. You know, I'm human too. And anyway, Gary came back to the office and he saw me and he said, Uncle Bob! And I said, please, Gary, please, I beg you, on bended knee, don't ever tell anybody about this.
The man is on his knees.
He told everybody about it.
Well said, well said.
Okay, I have a question for Bob, but I'd like to get comments from, I don't know where Dick went, but Ted. Okay. About a month ago, Bob told us all on the radio that we should pay attention to political candidates. We should write to them. We should ask them questions. We should find out what they're all about. And I agree, and you really opened my eyes, and I think that was a great idea. Not that I would believe 90% of what they told me. My question is this. I heard one day at 12 o'clock that Senator Gore was going to be on the radio. I thought, buddy, if anybody can put this guy in his place, it's Bob Lassiter. If anybody will get the truth, it'll be Bob Lassiter. Bob Lassiter will put this guy to shame unless he really straight talks us. I was so disappointed, I expected David Fowler's tap dance tape. I really thought you could have done it a lot better. I admire you. I think you're a great interviewer. And I know you asked him questions 3 or 4 times, and I'm not going to turn to Richard Shanks. I want an answer. Thanks.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
All right. First of all, it wasn't Senator Albert Gore Jr., it was Senator Albert Gore Sr., his dad, that was on the program. It was a disappointment, too, to me, if you'd like to know the truth, because I would like to have the actual candidates on. It doesn't appear as though it's going to happen, and the reason it's not going to happen, you saw last night. They don't want to be pursued. They want nice, fluff, short interviews where you don't have a chance to go after them on and on and on and on again. I'm dealing with Senator Albert Gore Sr., I'm dealing with, first of all, a man who is not the candidate. And while he may think that he's speaking for the candidate, he isn't really. And on top of that, he's an 80-year-old guy. Give me a break. I asked the questions 3 or 4 times, and to the best of my recollection. And, outside of that, all I could do was get up from my seat and go over and beat him about the head to get him to answer. You think you were disappointed? You don't know what disappointment is. Try doing a talk show sometime.
Boy, you got that straight.
My only disappointment, and you really answered that, was that if he would have called you on the phone and beat around the bush the way he did in the studio, you'd have massacred him. And I wish you would have done it live. Maybe he was intimidating, probably an 80-year-old senator should be. But if you ever get another chance to get those guys, find out the truth for us, Bob, please.
Just one thing in response. Albert Gore Sr. didn't insult me. I only beat up on people that either insult me or my intelligence. And while he didn't answer the questions, I appreciate that. All I could do under the circumstances was to point out to you that he didn't by repeating them a number of times.
Thanks. That was real enlightening there. All right, here we go. Real loud.
I just wanted to ask kind of about the Florida lottery. What I know how Teddy feels about it, and I'm in favor of it. And today I bought 3 tickets, one's $30, and I want to know what they both thought about the Florida lottery. And also for Ted, I want to know who he thinks is going to win the Super Bowl. That's what he knows about. That's what he knows about.
Any $5,000 winners here?
Any $5,000 losers here?
As far as the Super Bowl is concerned, put your money on Washington. As far as the Florida lottery is concerned, I tell you what, it's the only thing we got going that's going to feed education, and it's fun. And I personally, hey, come on, I'm ahead right now. How many people are ahead right now? I haven't won 5,000, but I won a bunch of tickets, and a lot of $2 tickets, and one $50 payoff. I'm all in favor of it. I think it's great. It's a lot of fun. I think it helps education.
Hang on.
Ted, I got 2 inches. I know that you were talking about them. 2 of them.
Right. Oh, thought he said 2 inches.
Fantastic. Do you know what you have with those 2 inches? 2 million to 1 shot. Oh, what a winner!
Hey, Steve.
Hey, don't let him harass you. You've got 2 shots at winning $1 million. How many people here have a shot at winning $1 million in the next 30 days or so?
He's got the same odds as he has of getting hit by lightning on his way to his car tonight.
There's no clouds out there tonight. There ain't no $1 million for him either.
Come on, boys! Mad Dog, I was wondering how your lawsuit's going with Richard Shanks.
Well, that's a fair question. Mr. Shanks did point out on his program that what he meant by let me go is that they didn't increase the offer over FLAs. Unfortunately, until he pointed that out, it appeared as though he was indicating that I had been fired and nothing could be further from the truth. What?
Does that mean if they would have matched your offer, you would have stayed at Plop?
That's a very fair question. Let me explain. First of all, I had been there for 2 years. Secondly, my wife works there. Had they matched the offer at FLA, I would have felt an obligation. Fortunately, one of the most intelligent things that has ever happened in my life, one of the luckiest things that ever happened in my life, is that they didn't even come close.
I want to talk about the unsung heroes at WFLA. One of the unsung heroes is Gary McHenry. This guy has humor.
He's here.
You can't believe.
He's here.
Where is he?
This guy cracks me up, and I would appreciate it, and I'm sure others would appreciate it, to get Gary McHenry up here. He's a super guy.
Come on, Gary.
Gary's there. Where are you? All right, come on up. Hello, give Gary for asking the big A question.
First time I've ever seen him that he wasn't high.
All right, how's the traffic out there? I didn't dress for this. Good grief. Where's Dick? What happened to Dick? I got here late. I want you to know that I never told the Uncle Bob story on the air. You gave it away tonight.
Well, it is the truth, right?
That's the truth. Yeah, there was a little more to it than just reading to Ted's daughter. But
I knew it.
not quite as innocent as Bob made it sound. Thanks a lot for your comments. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, I have a question I'd like to direct to Bob. So far, somebody's asked all the regular callers to stand up, but nobody's asked your biggest fan to stand up. Okay? Is Toledo Weaver here?
All right.
May I?
Yeah, stand by.
I would like to announce right here and right now, just in case it shows up tomorrow morning, that this afternoon I saw Tackless Harris, and I gave in hand to Tackless Harris a kazoo. I said, Tackless, I know how hard they are to come by, and I know that Toledo has been frantically looking for one, and I really feel sorry about it, so I want you to give this to him, and Tackless promised me that he would.
All right, believe it or not, we're going to be back in just a minute. You're listening to the Battle of the Talk Show hosts on WFLA, live from the Tobacco Company restaurant on 970 WFLA Radio, the Talk of Tampa Bay.
Why don't you go beat your wife, okay? Make everybody happy. We'll leave you alone. We won't interfere.
Go for it, Kirby. You got the rest of the show,
I even
baby.
hear your squeaky chair there.
That's right. Guess what I hear, Kirby?
I thought you...
Guess what I hear, Kirby?
What?
The hollowness of your head.
The Mad Dog, Bob Lassiter, noon to 4 on 970 WFLA, the talk of Tampa Bay.
It's 9:48 on WFLA, the talk of Tampa Bay. I'm Steve Otto, live at the Tobacco Company restaurant with 970's Battle of the Talk Show host, which is rapidly becoming the Battle of the Talk Show host, a battle of the big mouth between Mad Dog Bob Lassiter and Ted Webb. And meanwhile, back in the audience,
I just have two questions I want to ask right now. The first one is there anything that's going to happen to make WFLA reverse the decision on Ted Webb? And secondly, why doesn't Steve Otto look like his picture in the paper?
Question number one, no comment. Question number two, I was thinking when he was a senior at Plant High School.
I'll comment on question number one. Don't read anything into anything. Anything can happen in the next 25, 30 days. So just don't read anything into anything. Secondly, before this is over, Steve Otto has done a phenomenal job tonight under incredible conditions. And could we hear it for him?
yeah, there may not be a paper tomorrow.
All I want to know is now that the night is gone along a little more, and by the way, I'm Regis from Tampa. Now that the night's gone on, everybody's had a few drinks and everything. Where are all the regulars here? All the regular callers from WFLA. Where's Lionel? Where's Valrico Bob? Where's Rocky? Where's Jacob? Where's Peggy?
Lionel, are you out there?
If he was, he'd be up here.
If he was, he would be. He'd be right here. That's what I understand. All right, here we go. This is not Lionel.
Hi, I'm not a real regular. I was just coming tonight because I was really interested in hearing this. And I know this is a lot of fun tonight, and I know it's a lot of neat things, but you guys said something before, and I don't mean to bring you down or anything. You guys have got a lot of power doing the job that you have. You've got a lot of listeners, and they all seem to like you a whole lot. And this is my first night ever listening to you, and I think you're great, and I think your voice is very sexy, but your wife is also very beautiful.
I'm very understanding. Very understanding.
And also, I just wanted to, you said something, I knew you were going to go, oh God, a charity case. You said something about the homeless before, and I think we all here are rich, and we all should be very grateful. I'm just saying that we're all are rich. I'm just saying that you guys got a lot of power, and it's about things like this that if you just made people realize that they should just have their heart open to things like this.
I knew they shouldn't let Carol Williams in here.
Yeah, we have a lot of power. That is very true. An incredible amount of power. Enough to scare anybody if you want to know the truth. When I say that we don't care about the homeless, it's because obviously we don't. As long as there are homeless, then obviously we don't care about them. What can I do? What can Ted do? What can Dick Norman do? What can Steve Otto do? Just bring it to your attention and do it so often that maybe someday we truly will care.
All right. Can you come a little closer? This is great. We're running down here. Real loud.
Hi, I'm Ramona. I want to thank you for caring about my son. He's not going to go anywhere. But you voting in the right way is going to help see that. I want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
That's the meaning of life, eh?
I'm sure you understand that.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Sorry. Bob, I want to take exception with something you said, I guess it was a while ago discussing the Persian Gulf. You stated that Iraq is as much of a threat to shipping in the Persian Gulf as Iran. Now, if you'd examine the facts, you'd find that Iraq attacks shipping within Iran's territorial waters and Iranian-flagged ships, which by international law is legal. Now, on the other hand, Iran attacks shipping indiscriminately. So, what do you have to say for that, about that, Bob? Yeah, Bob,
I have no problem with that whatsoever. I have said that Iraq is more dangerous in the Persian Gulf than Iran, and that based upon statistics, Iraq has shot at and hit more vessels than Iran has. What is going on in the Persian Gulf is that this nation is playing favorites, and the favorites keep switching back and forth. For the last several months, we have played favorites with Iraq. I don't like what's going on in the Persian Gulf. I don't like when Iran fires missiles at ships, no matter whose flag they're under, and I don't care for it when Iraq fires missiles at ships, no matter whose flag they are under. And the fact of the matter is that Iraq has attacked more ships than Iran. And just from simple mathematics, I would tell you that Iraq is a greater danger. Plus, Iraq has a big brother and Iran doesn't.
All right, now that we've gotten to the fun part of the evening here. What chances for survival do you give the American family, Robert, in the next 10 years?
The American family?
The American family. Any chances on whatever you see out there?
The American family has always survived, and I have no reason to suspect that it wouldn't. If I thought the American family wouldn't survive in the next 10 years, I'd probably be on my way to, Lower Jibippers or one of those delightful towns. But it remains that in the next 10 years, life is going to change dramatically in this country. We're going to see economic problems. We're going to see our role in the world reduced considerably, and it's going to be a different world in 10 years. Yeah, we're all going to be here. We just have to adjust. Things change. Times go by, and as times go by, things change. If we can adjust to it, then we got trouble. But I suspect we can adjust.
All right, I'll follow this producer here.
I'd like to know why Mr. Sick Norman walks off the podium and then criticizes Dan Rather and other people for not participating in their shows.
You want to say something there, Nick?
I'll answer it.
Here we go.
I'll answer it.
Thank you.
This is a tough one, and you guys are going to like this, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Dick Norman is a human being, like you are, and like I am. And Dick Norman was deeply hurt by a group of gentlemen with the best of intentions, trying to be cool and trying to be funny. Dick Norman has a family, Dick Norman has a mortgage, and Dick Norman has feelings. And if you'd like to know the truth, and frankly we're going to try to hide this from you, but if you'd like to know the truth, you broke his heart. And if you'd like to know the truth a little bit beyond that, I don't like you for it.
Thank you all for making this a fun evening. Well, as long as we're talking about the subject here, we can change laws to protect people, but can we ever change attitudes? That's a question they had for me right here, but I think it might be apropos to this. We can change laws to protect people, but can we ever change attitudes?
Can we ever change attitudes? Yeah, attitudes have changed all the time. Laws are almost always ahead of the attitudes, and laws usually come because a certain segment of the population is working in that direction. It doesn't always happen that way. But of course you can change attitudes. Attitudes have changed from the time this country became into existence or came into existence.
Yeah. Hey. How about that?
I just want to tell Webb Tampa Bay loves him, and are we going to be able to see it in this city again?
All I want to tell you is this is my home turf. This is where I was born. This is where I was prepared. I ain't going nowhere.
Hang on here, we're running down.
Hi, sir. How you doing? I was very concerned to know most of us, we didn't bring up any issue of current situation in Israel and Palestinians. And let's face it, we have spent over $8 billion of our tax money to them, to Israel. And look at what they're really doing to the people. What is your concern?
Well, first of all, your numbers are wrong, but that's besides the point. It's a little closer to 5 this current year, and it'll be a little closer to 3 next year, but that's besides the point. I, like most of the people in Israel, are frankly appalled at what is going on in the Palestinian refugee camp. And while any decent human being is against the behavior on the part of the Israeli military right now, that doesn't mean that we turn our backs on Israel, just as we do not turn our backs on the Palestinians. They both have legitimate rights, and until the two sides get their act together and sit down and start talking instead of beating each other over the head, it's going to continue. There's not a damn thing that I or my country can do about it.
Your news and information leader. 970 WFLA.